I could feel his eyes on me as I walked down the aisle. Dad leaned toward my mother and whispered, "You don't deserve happiness." My hands tightened around the bouquet, my heart stuttering like it had a life of its own. Everything I had imagined about my wedding, the smiles, the applause, the love, seemed to shatter in that single moment. But then, something inside me shifted. I paused, turned slightly, and for the first time, I decided that the truth wasn't just mine to keep. And when I spoke, every guest in the hall heard everything I had buried for years. I spent months planning this wedding. Every detail was precise. The flowers, the table arrangements, the music, even the timing of the ceremony. My fiancé, James, had been patient with me, smiling through my obsession with perfection. But my excitement had always been tangled with dread. Dad never liked me. He called me weak, selfish, or too sensitive for as long as I could remember. My mother tried to mediate, but she was too afraid of his temper to intervene. The morning of my wedding, I woke up in the bridal suite, surrounded by roses, silk ribbons, and the nervous energy of my bridesmaids. I tried to focus on the joy, but a tight knot of anxiety coiled in my stomach. When Dad arrived, dressed in a tailored black suit, he didn't smile. He didn't hug me. He looked at me as if I were an intruder at my own celebration. That was when he whispered to Mom, loud enough for me to catch, "You don't deserve happiness." I froze. Everything I had built, every happy thought about this day, felt threatened. The perfect day, the people I loved, the life I had dreamed about. It was all on the edge of collapsing. For years, I had tried to gain his approval, bend to his harsh standards, and ignore the bruises his words left on my self-esteem. But this was different. This was public. And I realized I couldn't let him ruin my day. Not silently, not privately, not at all. The ceremony began. Guests smiled and applauded. James held my hand. And for a moment, I focused on the love surrounding me. I reminded myself of why I was here. For the people who truly mattered. Still, Dad's presence felt like a storm cloud. I could feel his judgment on every movement, every breath I took. When the officiant asked, "Who gives this bride away?" I saw him straighten in his seat, the lines of disdain cutting across his face. I swallowed hard. I thought about walking away, about telling James to run and cancel everything. But I didn't. I had waited my whole life for this day. And yet, the shadow of Dad's voice lingered in every corner. After the ceremony, at the reception, the tension only thickened. Dad found every chance to belittle me subtly. A smirk when I laughed. A raised eyebrow at my dress. A whisper I couldn't quite hear, but could feel in my chest. My mother whispered to me, "Just ignore him." But I could see the fear in her eyes. She didn't know what to do either. By the time the speeches began, my anxiety had built into a palpable weight. Friends spoke fondly of James and me, telling funny anecdotes, but I could feel my father preparing for his moment, the moment he always assumed he owned. When the microphone reached him, the room hushed. Dad's smile was thin, sharp, and cold. He began speaking in a voice that dripped with authority and condescension, reciting memories that twisted my childhood into his narrative of failure. I felt my throat tighten, my hands shake. But then I remembered every tear, every harsh word, every moment I had silenced myself to appease him. And for the first time, I realized my voice had power. My day was mine. I took a deep breath and stood, holding the microphone with hands that didn't shake anymore. The entire hall leaned in, sensing the tension before it even reached words. "Dad," I said, my voice echoing, clear and unwavering. "I've heard you my entire life. I've tried to please you, to follow your rules, to be the daughter you wanted. But today is my wedding, and today, I choose my happiness over your approval. A hush fell over the room. People looked shocked. Some mouths opened and closed, unsure what to say. James squeezed my hand, eyes wide but supportive. I am not weak. I am not selfish. And I do deserve happiness. Every single day of it. If you cannot celebrate this moment with me, then know this. Your judgment will no longer hold power over my life. Dad's face turned red. He opened his mouth, probably to speak, but no words came out. My mother's lips trembled. I could feel the tension in the room crack, like glass breaking under pressure. And for the record, I continued, my confidence growing, the happiness I deserve is not conditional on your approval. It is mine because I have worked for it, fought for it, and lived for it. And today, surrounded by the people who truly love me, I am finally free of the weight of your words. Gasps, whispers, and a few quiet claps began. Some guests turned to nod at James, some at me, and others just stared, stunned by the audacity of confronting family in public. Dad finally spoke, but his voice was weak, swallowed by the echo of my declaration. You shouldn't what? I asked softly, loud enough for everyone to hear. Tell me I don't deserve to be happy on my wedding day? Or tell me I can't live my life as I choose? I paused, letting the words sink in. The room was still, and then, slowly, the first real applause broke out. Others joined, louder, warmer, drowning out the tension that had built for decades. I raised my glass, glanced at James, and whispered, "Cheers to finally living our truth." The rest of the evening flowed like a dream. Guests danced, laughed, and toasted our union. Dad left early, muttering something to my mother. She followed him, still hesitating. But I didn't care. I had claimed my day. I had claimed my voice. Later, alone with James, I realized something profound. For years, I had believed my father's opinion defined me. It didn't. Not anymore. Happiness wasn't permission. It was a choice. And I had chosen it. Publicly, proudly, and irrevocably. Weeks passed. Messages poured in from friends and family, expressing shock, support, and relief. Some were relieved I had finally spoken. Others admitted they'd wish someone would. Dad never apologized. But that was okay. The silence was no longer a cage. I now look back at that day as the turning point in my life. The moment I stopped asking for permission to be happy. It wasn't just a wedding, it was liberation. And sometimes, when I see my reflection in the mirror, I remember his words, but they no longer hurt. Instead, they remind me of the strength I found when I chose myself over fear, joy over judgment, and truth over silence. Because at my wedding, when Dad whispered, "You don't deserve happiness," I didn't shrink. I didn't cry. I spoke, and everyone heard me.